I never thought I'd find myself standing in the middle of our living room, camera rolling, heart pounding, trying to hold back the storm of emotions building inside me. It all started on a quiet Sunday afternoon, one of those days that feels too calm, too perfect, like the silence before something cracks. My husband, Dave, had been acting strangely all week. He was restless, distracted, always on his phone, muttering about trying something new for his channel. I should have asked more questions then, but I trusted him. Or maybe I just didn't want to believe he'd ever push things this far. We've always shared a love for making videos. What started as silly home vlogs slowly turned into more polished, themed content. Dave was the creative one, always dreaming up ideas that would pull in more views and keep the audience hooked. I was happy to play along until this idea. The idea that crossed a line I didn't even know we had. It wasn't until he set up the tripod and called our dog, Max, into the frame that I started to get a weird feeling in my gut. Dave looked at me with that same grin he always wore when he had a plan, but this time, something felt off. He handed me a script. A short one, just a few lines. "Don't worry," he said, "it's just a prank. Nothing serious. Just act surprised. It'll go viral." I glanced at Max, who was wagging his tail like it was just another game, and I felt the tiniest sting of doubt. It wasn't about hurting anyone, he assured me. It was just meant to be shocking. Something bold, unexpected. Something that would make people click. But the way he kept insisting, the way he avoided my eyes, made me pause. I kept thinking, what am I about to do on camera? And why does this feel wrong if it's just a joke? Max is like family. We raised him from a puppy. He's been in all our videos. He's part of every holiday, every lazy Sunday morning. And that's what made this all so confusing. Whatever Dave was planning, it wasn't dangerous, but it felt manipulative. Like he was using our dog or using me as props for something he wasn't even fully explaining. I hesitated. I looked at the camera, then back at Dave. "Are you sure about this?" I asked. He laughed. "You'll thank me when we hit 1 million views." But I didn't feel like laughing. Something about the whole setup made my skin crawl. Still, I took my place. I said the first line. Max barked right on cue, just like he was trained. And then Dave gave the signal to move to the next part, of the part that made my stomach turn. That's when I realized a broken bar. This wasn't just about views. This was about control, about pushing limits. And I had to make a choice here right there, with the red recording light blinking and the world about to watch. And that's when it happened. That's when it happened. Dave looked at me, gave a little nod, and mouthed, "Now." I froze. My heart was beating so loud I could barely hear anything else. Max was sitting next to me, tongue out, happy as ever, completely unaware of the tension thickening in the room. The camera was still rolling. I could see the red light blinking. Dave's phone was in his hand too. He was live streaming this, something he hadn't told me. That's when the panic really started to creep in. If this was just some harmless prank like he claimed, why did it have to be live? Why couldn't we stop and edit it later? I looked down at the line I was supposed to say next. It was weird, not offensive exactly, but strange enough to make people uncomfortable. It was meant to make it seem like something inappropriate was happening, even though it wasn't. It was all just acting, but the implication, a broken bar, that was the real trick. That's what would get people to click, to comment, to share. The shock factor, Dave had called it. It's how people grow fast on YouTube now. That's when I started to piece it together. This wasn't about us having fun anymore. It wasn't about being silly or entertaining our followers. It was about creating a moment that would go viral because it pushed people's buttons, because it looked like something it wasn't, because it made people uncomfortable enough to keep watching, keep talking. And I was the one being used to sell it. I wanted to stop, to speak up and say, "This isn't okay." But my voice caught in my throat. The pressure to perform, to not ruin the video, to not embarrass him, it was all so heavy. And then I saw the chat blowing up on his phone screen. Comments started pouring in. Some people were laughing, others confused, and a few already calling it out. But Dave just smiled wider. He loved the attention, even if it was negative. I kept thinking about Max, about how he was just being his sweet, clueless self, sitting there like a good boy while this twisted scene played out around him. I hated that he was part of it. I hated that I was part of it. And still a broken bar. I didn't stop the camera. Not yet. Because deep down, I needed to see just how far Dave was willing to take it and what he would do next. The comments kept flooding in, some laughing, some shocked, some asking if this was even real. I could feel the shift in the room, like something invisible had snapped. Dave was completely absorbed in the live stream, his eyes glued to the numbers climbing on the screen. His focus wasn't on me, or Max, or even the content. It was all about the attention. That's when it hit me. This wasn't just about a video. This was about control, about him needing to be the center of something outrageous, no matter what it cost. We had always done things as a team. Even when the videos got a little weird or offbeat, we talked it through. But this time, he didn't escape. He planned it behind my back. He used my trust and Max's innocence. That's what really got to me. Our dog had no idea he was being pulled into some twisted social experiment. To the viewers, it was all drama and clicks. But to me, it was personal. The weirdest part was that Dave didn't see anything wrong. Later, he even said, "It's just how content works now. You either go big or you disappear." He truly believed it. He believed shock value was more important than boundaries, more important than honesty. And then there was something else. I started noticing comments from people who seemed to know more than they should, like they had seen something like this from Dave before. One person wrote, "Didn't he do something similar with his last girlfriend?" I paused. He never talked much about his past. But now I wondered, was this a pattern? I hadn't even touched the stop button yet. I just stood there, heart racing, wondering if I was finally seeing the real version of the man I married. I could barely hear myself think over the buzzing in my head and the constant ding of notifications. The live stream was still going, and the numbers were higher than we'd ever seen. Thousands were watching. Dave was completely in his element, laughing, hyping up the chat, acting like this was just another fun stunt. But I could see something else in his eyes, a kind of desperation, like he needed this to work, like he was clinging to it for more than just views. Max had started pacing, picking up on the tension. I crouched beside him, trying to comfort him without drawing too much attention. Dave barely noticed. He was too busy reading the comments out loud, reacting to the chaos he had created. And then, just when I thought things couldn't go any further, he pulled out a second camera. A hidden angle, one he'd set up without telling me. It was aimed right at me and Max from across the room, and it made everything we were doing look even more suggestive than it actually was. I felt my face go cold. The live stream chat exploded. People were taking screenshots, making wild assumptions, twisting the context even more. Dave grinned like it was all going according to plan. "Look at this reaction, babe," he said, waving his phone. "This is gold. We're trending." But I wasn't hearing him anymore. I was staring at that second camera, realizing just how calculated this all was. And then, a comment popped up in the stream. It was from an account with no profile picture, just one line: "Stop pretending." "She doesn't know the whole story, does she?" Dave paused mid-sentence. His smile twitched. He saw it too. And in that moment, I knew there was more he hadn't told me. A lot more. Dave's face went pale when he saw the comment. It was like a switch flipped in him. His energy dropped for a second, just long enough for me to notice. He quickly brushed it off with a forced laugh and scrolled past it, but I could tell he was shaken. That one message had cracked something open, and I wasn't going to ignore it. I turned to him, still live on camera, and asked, "What don't I know?" He smiled again, this time tighter, like he was trying to keep it together. "It's nothing," he said. "Probably just some troll trying to stir things up." But I wasn't buying it. The tone in the chat had changed. People were now asking questions. What's she missing? What's he hiding? Who sent that? It was no longer about the stunt. The viewers weren't just watching, they were invested. And for the first time, I wasn't sure if Dave was in control anymore. That's when the second twist hit. Another comment popped up. This one had a link. Normally we'd never click links midstream, but Dave's hand hovered over it. He looked at me, hesitated, and then tapped it. A new screen opened. An old video, low quality, shaky, like it had been recorded secretly. It was Dave, years younger, and he was with someone else, a woman, and a different dog. My heart dropped. They were filming something eerily similar. Same setup, same weird script, but in this video, the woman was clearly upset. She kept stopping, saying she wasn't comfortable. He kept pushing, laughing it off. At one point, she left the frame entirely, and then a broken bar the video cut off. Dave slammed his phone down and ended the stream without saying a word. The screen went black. Silence. Max let out a low whine, sensing the tension in both of us. I couldn't stop shaking. Who was she? I asked, barely above a whisper. Dave didn't answer. He just walked over to the second camera and yanked it from the tripod. He looked cornered, like something he thought he buried had just clawed its way to the surface. "We don't need to talk about that," he said. But I wasn't backing down, because whatever this was or whatever he was, I was already too deep. And now, I needed the truth. Dave stood in the middle of the room, gripping the second camera like it might protect him from everything falling apart. I kept my eyes on him, waiting for something, an answer, an apology, anything. But he just kept pacing. Max was lying beside me now, head on his paws, watching quietly like he knew something serious had shifted. "I didn't think it would come back," Dave finally said, his voice low. "That video, it wasn't supposed to be public. She promised she'd never release it." I asked again, "Who was she?" He hesitated. "Her name was Lauren. We dated before I met you. We did content together, like we do now. But she didn't like how far I pushed things. She left, said I cared more about the audience than real life. I thought she moved on." I could feel my chest tighten. "So you did this same thing to her? The fake scene with the dog?" He shook his head, but not convincingly. "It wasn't like that, not exactly. It just got twisted. People online always take it the wrong way." His excuses were falling apart, and he knew it. Everything he had built to our channel, his reputation, our trust her, was cracking wide open. Just as I was about to say I was done, that I couldn't do this anymore, his phone buzzed again. One more message lit up the screen. It was from an unknown number. No name, just 5 chilling words. "You should check your email." Against my better judgment, I did. And there it was, a screenshot of a draft email ready to be sent out to all our sponsors, complete with video links and timestamps. Not just from today, but from past clips. Old pranks. All the moments that looked fine in context but could be twisted into something darker. Someone was planning to expose everything. Not just Dave. Me, too. I looked up at him. "Who is doing this?" His face went blank. And then the final twist came, not from him, but from the sender. The next message read, "Lauren didn't release the video." I did. "I've been watching since day one." I felt the blood drain from my face. This wasn't about one bad video. Someone had been following our story all along, a broken bar, and they were just getting started. The room felt frozen. Dave stood there speechless, his phone still glowing in his hand. My mind was racing. Who had been watching us? Who had that much access? And what did they want? I opened the last message, hoping for a clue, but there was nothing else. Just silence. No name, no reply. Just the weight of everything finally catching up to us. Dave sank onto the couch, all his confidence drained. He looked smaller somehow, like the truth had peeled away everything he'd built up around himself. "I don't know who that is," he said quietly, "but I think I pushed things too far." It was the first time he'd admitted it. Not to the camera, not for show, just to me. I sat across from him, Max curled up between us. The silence between us wasn't angry anymore, it was tired. Everything made sense now, the weird rush to go viral, the pressure to keep raising the stakes, the need to stay relevant in a space that's always chasing the next headline. Somewhere along the way, we lost sight of what mattered. It stopped being about sharing our life and started being about controlling how others saw it. I made the choice that night. We took down the video, disabled comments, shut off the cameras. For the first time in months, the house felt real again, and not like a set, not like a performance. Just us. I didn't leave Dave right away, but things changed. We took time off the channel. We had long, uncomfortable talks. He started therapy. I needed space, and I took it. Weeks later, we got another message. This time, It was from Lauren. She said she hadn't sent the footage but knew who did it. Was someone from a fan group we didn't even know existed. Someone who had watched everything and decided to reveal what they thought the truth was. They didn't want money. They wanted accountability. And they weren't wrong. In the end, we learned the hard way that chasing views without boundaries can cost you more than just followers. It can cost your trust, your peace, your sense of self. We've started over now, and no more tricks, no more shock value. Just real life. Quiet, honest, and maybe a little boring. But it's ours again. And this time, the camera stays off.